Hello, this is Rachel, and today I'm going to be doing a video all about the Omlet Hamster enclosure. Full disclosure, I did get this enclosure for free from Omlet, and I'm also an Omlet affiliate. So what that means is if you click on one of the links that I put in the description below this video, or on my website, which I always label as affiliate links, and then you go to Omlet's website and make a purchase, I will get a small commission on that purchase. The reason I decided to become an affiliate for Omlet is because I really do think this is a brand that is taking great strides in providing good products for hamsters, really well thought out, and I think that pretty much any dwarf hamster would do great in this enclosure. Of course, there will be an occasional dwarf hamster that doesn't do well in a barred cage, but that will probably be the minority. So you can see as I start to unpack this cage, it is so well put together. The packaging engineers, industrial designers behind this brand really did one on this. I was really blown away by how clever it was and how well and nicely everything was arranged. Nothing was broken. There was no plastic, no styrofoam to be seen, which is really quite an accomplishment. If you've ever ordered hamster stuff, it usually comes in a lot of plastic and a lot of styrofoam. And I get it, you don't want your stuff to break, but it is impressive that they managed to do it without any plastic or styrofoam. One note, I do usually try to donate that styrofoam. If you're in that situation where you've ordered some, I think the Night Angel wheels and maybe the Buka Stout wheels, they come with a lot of styrofoam. I always donate it to a craft place or like, I think in town there's a place where you can bring stuff that people use for, Halloween costumes or kids crafts. So I bring it there. So in case you're looking for a place to get rid of your styrofoam, there's usually something like that, I'm sure, around, better than throwing it away. Another cute add-on, they gave us stickers, so that's very cute. Lots of really cute stickers. And that's all inside that box. So one thing that I really love about this setup, and I know I've said it before, is that it's basically like a one-stop shop for a new hamster owner. I think that's really important because I see this all the time. If you read, if you're in hamster groups on Facebook or on Reddit, and of course in hamster forums, if you're a part of the hamster forum, if people go and ask what they need to get a new hamster, or is my enclosure good enough, or is this wheel good enough, or what's wrong, how come my hamster's not happy, it can be really overwhelming as a new hamster owner to buy the right stuff. There's like a plethora of things you could buy. Of course, I could tell you, right, like go to Night Angel, buy everything Night Angel, great. But do you need everything? Do you need 3 different platforms? Do you need, which wheel do you choose? It can be really overwhelming, I think. And I feel like the Omlet setup here simplifies it for you. You do have to know, and that's why I wanted to do this video and make a blog post about it. You have to know what to get, and I would recommend getting the full kit and caboodle with the platforms and the ramps and the sandbath. But the enclosure does come with a really good size wheel, and it also comes with a really great water bottle and some cardboard multi-chamber hide. So it is a good setup to begin with. And I just want to point out, I just pulled out some cardboard pieces that were very interesting, and I've now stored them in my cardboard stash. Also, interesting cardboard is great for hamsters. You don't need fancy stuff to keep hamsters happy. If you're a new hamster owner, just start collecting some cool, interesting cardboard. The cup holders from Starbucks are really nice. If you get something in the mail and it's packed in that molded cardboard, I use those in playpens, sometimes in hamster cages. It's also really handy to have around in case you have a hamster with an illness or mites or something and you need something in their enclosure that you can, get rid of, but it'll still be entertaining and exciting. So here I am starting to put together the legs. I did actually have some trouble with the legs, and if you've read my blog post, which I already put out quite a while ago, I was not able to get these screws in the legs, and I ended up having to come back to this problem. If you are interested in buying this kit, I do recommend that you get the legs. I think Having your hamster elevated is a good safety measure in case you have other pets in the home or small kids or people who come over with small kids or pets. Having a hamster on the floor really leaves them vulnerable to those little creatures and little hands. So at this point, most of my hamsters are elevated, and also kind of hide my hamsters away. I definitely have had some not so great incidences with kids. It's just, I think an individual child can be great with a hamster, but a lot of, if there's more than one, they can fight over the hamster. I've had that happen. And you know, hamsters can do damage to kids. They can bite them, but kids can do way more damage to a hamster. And a lot of the things that can happen, like if your hamster breaks their leg or something, it's not something you can easily repair. Hamsters are just not, they're pretty fragile little beings. So long story short, I like to have my hamsters elevated. I recommend that people do this. This is what I like about this enclosure. It comes with, or it doesn't come with, but there's an add-on for the stand. So it comes with legs. The legs are super sturdy. It took me a while to put it together, but they're really great legs. And the additional nice thing about having your things with legs is that you can use that space underneath the cage for storage. So you can get like a little cube organizer. I love those for hamster stuff. You can get their storage, which is basically like a kind of a hammocky thing. I feel like I could take it or leave it. I did get it, and you'll see it at the end. You can store the playpen in there if you want, or whatever, bedding, food. I don't feel like it adds a ton of value personally, but I definitely would get the legs. So now I am beginning to put together the acrylic portion. You can see even already that I've had some costume changes here. This cage assembly was a little bit tricky. I'm not going to say that it was super easy. I probably reside somewhere in the middle as far as like my assembly skill set. I'm a pretty detail-oriented person. I don't mind spending time on little things, but I'm also not someone who puts stuff together all the time. So, you know, I'm probably an average person, neither really good or really bad. I will say this assembly did take me some time. It was like a little, I don't want to say challenging, just like time-consuming. But the ending output is like a really sturdy cage. So there are a lot of components to it, but it does lead to a very well crafted, solid enclosure that when you pick it up, it feels really good. So, you know, it's something you spend time on once and then you have it. So it is what it is, but just putting it out there. And all enclosures have some element of assembly, right? Unless you buy them secondhand, which is really a great advantage of buying something secondhand. You don't have to put it together. But yeah, that is what it is. And it's complicated because this enclosure is 3 parts, right? It has that bottom turquoise basin, and then it has an acrylic kind of topper, and then a cage portion that goes over that. So probably the harder assembly part, because the cage and the plastic basin come fully set up, right? But you have to assemble this acrylic portion, and that involves putting these little metal pegs in, which they don't really slide in. You kind of have to spin them to get them to go in, which takes a lot of time and a lot of power. Like I feel like I was sweating afterwards. Maybe I'm a wimp, I don't know. And then afterwards there are these sort of stabilizing bars that you put at the top, which you'll see in just a minute here. Okay, so now it's time for those stabilizing bars. It's kind of like a U-shaped bar, and you slide it on each end, and then they connect in the middle, and they sort of, they kiss, or they maybe like eat each other in the center. I can't think of a better word for that. But that part was a little challenging to get them to kind of like align just right. Not super hard, but it did take a second. But then once you do this, it does make this acrylic portion, as I said, very stable, not nervous at all. I feel like now that I've been using this cage for a couple months, it feels very secure. I don't feel nervous about my hamster getting out at all. And that is really the most important part, right? Okay, so now it's time to attach these little orange bungee cords. This is like a cool invention from Omlet. The idea is that these bungee cords basically hold the cage topper onto the bottom digging area, and so you can easily take off the cage and interact with your hamster in that way. I have not done that. The reason I haven't done that is because I have my platforms attached to my enclosure or to the cage portion, so I can't easily take the cage off without kind of disrupting everything. So I just haven't really used this feature, but it is really nice when you're doing a major cage clean. I think in comparison, if you didn't have that option, it would be a lot harder to do a deep clean. So it is a nice feature, very easy to kind of clip in and clip out in case you wanted to use it that way. If you did want to use it that way, I would suggest using standalone platforms. But then again, that is if you're someone who wants to buy this enclosure but is okay shopping elsewhere for platforms and doesn't really feel like they need a one-stop shop kind of situation. Okay, so here I'm coming back to the legs. I did allude to this a little bit before, but I had a lot of issue getting the legs to assemble. I found that the screws were very tight for the leg, for the holes that they were supposed to go in the leg. And the problem is the legs are made of metal, so if it was wood, you can kind of like force it in and or use a drill. In this case, yeah, well, it is an Allen wrench that complicates it a little bit because I don't know if I have drill bits for an Allen wrench, but yeah, I could not get it to go in. I was getting really frustrated, and I had to stop and take a break. I did email Omlet and let them know. They offered to send me another set of screws, and for some reason I said no. I was just very determined to make this work. In retrospect, I should have just accepted the screws. What probably happened is I just got a batch of screws that were like a little bit too big. And so, I don't know. Anyway, I ended up sorting through the screws, finding the ones that were a little bit smaller. They do send you a few extra screws, so I kind of sorted out the ones that were definitely not working at all. And then I conferenced with my dad, which is me here texting him photos. And he actually loaned me some household oil. It's called 3-in-1 household oil. It is toxic. I wouldn't, if you have little kids or pets roaming around, I would be very careful with it. I did this later, and you'll see later in the video when I borrowed the oil from him, but I did it over cardboard, and then I got rid of the cardboard. And because this is just on the legs and not anywhere where my hamster would interact, I didn't think it was really an issue. But it did slow me down a little bit because I really struggled with what to do about that. Anyway, eventually I gave that a rest and I decided to open the sandbath. This is the little cute sandbath. Isn't it adorable? It also comes with a stand, which I think is lovely. If you're a new hamster owner, you might not know that it is very important for your hamster sandbath to be on stilts. I don't think it occurs to most people. It definitely didn't occur to me that my hamsters might burrow under a sandbath and then get crushed by it. So having that on stilts is great. It is not part of the package, but you can add it on as you buy the enclosure. It's like an easy, do you want this? Do you want that? So I would definitely recommend that anyone who buys this enclosure get the sandbath or get a sandbath, but that one is available. And it's really cute. It feels very high quality. I like it. The only thing I would say about it is I wish it was a little bigger. I feel like now that I have a hamster in there, I have to clean the sandbath a lot because he uses it all the time, and it's not a super large sandbath. But things that I love the cardboard topper. I wish that they sold extra of those because I think at some point it's going to get really stinky because he likes to pee in there, as most hamsters do. So I wish I could buy a few more of those, but for now, it's fine. Everything is good. The other comment I have is I found that it was a little tricky to get, and this is the negative part of having a cage with a wheel attached to it. It's kind of tricky to get that wheel attached to the enclosure. And you'll see another shot of it soon, but you really have to like reach your arm in a weird angle. Okay, so here I'm starting off this enclosure by putting some Eaton hemp bedding. I use hemp bedding in almost all my hamster cages. It's super soft. It's softer than aspen. I don't have any allergy issues with it. Aspen makes me crazy. I can't use aspen. So if you have allergies to like trees, pollen, you should try hemp. I have no issue with it, and I think it's better. It's nice. My hamsters seem to like digging in it and foraging in it, so I usually put at least a portion of the cage in aspen or maybe a bottom layer. It looks like I had some leftover Carefresh, so I use that, and then I use some KT Clean and Cozy. I actually think, now that I've tried it, and it's funny, I heard Victoria Rachel talk about her favorite hamster items recently, and the Night Angel bedding was one of them. And I actually do have to agree. Night Angel bedding, the Taffet Pet bedding. Have I tried Bukastat's bedding? I can't remember. But super fluffy, really nice. I think my problem is I just get lazy, or I think I kind of just like going to the pet store once in a while. So I end up buying KT Clean and Cozy. I wish Night Angel was sold in stores. But yeah, if you're in the market for some paper bedding, my number one choice for easily available will be white KT Clean and Cozy. But if you're going to buy something online, yeah, go with the Night Angel or the Taffet Pet or Bukastat. They're so fluffy and nice, and it's like really kind of a treat for your hamster. So once I had all that in, I then attempted to put in the platforms. Again, this was a little tricky. The bar spacing on this enclosure, it's about 1/4 inch in that upper portion. And that's awesome. That's what I would want bar spacing to be, because that is small enough that a roborovski hamster would be very safe in here. No risk of them getting out. But the problem with that is the bar spacing is so small that it's really easy to put your platforms in a little bit crooked, because it's kind of like hard to see that you get all the right rungs. So I definitely had to try a few times to get it right. And yeah, the advanced kit comes with 2 platforms and 2 ramps. I kind of played a little bit with how I would arrange it, and then I decided to just put the platforms next to each other and the ramps next to each other. It was just a little hard to figure out how to arrange it otherwise. And I will say that is the challenge of having to attach things to a cage, because I have to you have to reach in there to adhere things. I can't just have the cage open. I would prefer to just have the cage off while I arrange stuff, but because of the way the platforms are, having to attach them is a little awkward. So I have mixed feelings. I love that it comes with platforms, but the other half of me kind of feels like maybe if you were an experienced hamster owner and you have platforms already, maybe I would just go with those standalone platforms that you already have. I think it would be easier to arrange the cage that way, because then you can just put all your stuff in there and then use the cage as the topper and just add that on top. And here I am adding in the wheel. Like I said, this was a little awkward because you have to reach one arm all the way in the front and another arm all the way in the back. Thankfully, I actually have very long arms. Someone like a child or someone with less long arms might struggle with this. It has made taking the wheel in and out a little bit tricky. And as a result, I've decided I now just clean the wheel with a baby wipe. I don't take the wheel on and off because it's just too annoying. It's not my favorite thing because it's a little wasteful, but it works, right? All right, so now I have my enclosure almost set up. I added a lot of food. I like to put tons of food in new spaces when I move a hamster in so that it feels very inviting. You'll see everything in this setup right here is Omlet stuff only, except for that strawberry hide, that ceramic hide up at the top on the platform. That was the only thing I felt like. Actually, there are 2 things that I was missing from Omlet. Number 1, a ceramic hide. I think every hamster should have a ceramic hide in their enclosure. It's a great space for them to cool off in case they get hot. And hamsters just like ceramic hides. It's very safe and cozy for them. The other thing is a water bowl. It comes with a water bottle, but it does not come with a water bowl. Omlet does sell a water bowl, and I just seem to have missed that. I would have purchased that, to be honest. But yeah, so because of that, I had to add in my own water bowl. I think you'll see me put it in. I'm using one of those tea light style water bowls. Not my favorite. If I was going to recommend a water bowl, I would go with one of the bigger, sturdier ones, like the Night Angel Fuji Mountain ones. Those are really pretty. I like those a lot. I think there was a mushroom one. Was that from Bukastat? I can't remember. Anyway, I would go with something pretty like heavy and sturdy. I've had hamsters knock off the little tea light water bottle or water bowls into their bedding, and some hamsters only use a bowl, so if they like knock it off or spill it, that's all their water. And if you're gone for the day, then they just like don't have water that day, which is not the best. So that would be my recommendation. The Omlet water bowl actually looks really great. So if you are shopping at Omlet, it looks very nice. It has like a very wide base and it looks very sturdy. So I might have to purchase it just to like, get the complete set. So now you'll see I'm moving Chet from his 100 quart bin into the Omlet enclosure here. You can see the 100 quart bin is definitely smaller than this. I would say this enclosure feels kind of comparable to a 200 quart bin. And in measurements, I'm going to measure it for you in a few minutes, but it is pretty similar. It comes out to be about 700 square inches, depending on how you measure it. And I think that's always kind of controversial because it kind of like gets bigger at the top and narrower at the bottom. But about 700 square inches, which is about the same size as a 200 quart bin. So it definitely meets the minimum standard for US American market. So if that is your concern, it totally meets that standard. And again, I think I've mentioned this, but I think this is a great enclosure for a dwarf hamster. I wouldn't recommend this for a Syrian hamster. I think most Syrian hamsters, unless they're very old or just like sometimes like male Syrian hamsters are really chill. I think they need more space. I really think you need to give them something like a size large Vista, or 75-gallon tank, or even bigger tank, or something homemade, some IKEA Lindemann thing. There's lots of options out there that I think are appropriate for Syrian hamsters. The Bukastat 3.0, I've heard is very large and very great for Syrian hamsters. Lots of great options. For dwarf hamsters, I think this is a great option, but I wouldn't recommend this for a Syrian. The other reason is the wheel is 10.5 to 11 inches, which is okay for maybe some Syrian hamsters, but a lot of Syrian hamsters are pretty big, and a wheel that's under 12 inches might cause them to arch their back as they run. It wouldn't be horrible. I mean, definitely I've seen way worse. If someone were to buy this enclosure and put a Syrian hamster in it, I wouldn't say, oh my gosh, that's torture. It's definitely fine. But if you were asking me for a recommendation, I would say this is great for a dwarf hamster. That wheel size is awesome. Like, I think it would work for a robo or any dwarf. Chet, the little white hybrid hamster I have here, dwarf hamster, he is like fairly average to large size dwarf hamster. Not like enormous, but he's not small either. And that wheel looks very comfortable for him. It's very smooth, very quiet. You'll see a little bit of video of him running on it. He seems to be very happy in this enclosure. Okay, so digging space on this is actually pretty solid. It's 11 inches. So if that is a concern, I think we're good to go there. 11 inches in the digging area. And that is 33 inches wide. And then I believe it's 19 inches tall. Let's see if I remember that right. Yep, that's a 19 tall. So that, I feel like, as a standard for dwarf hamsters, if you can give them 6 to 8 inches, but 10 to 11 inches across the board, even better, of burrowing space. And depth there, or, is, I think I missed it. Maybe it was like 21 or 22. I will double check that for you guys, but it's also on my website. The funny thing is with some dwarf hamsters, and this is true for Chet, he doesn't really burrow much. Now that I've had him in this enclosure for a little bit, he actually brings paper bedding up to the platform and sleeps up on the platform. I don't know why, but I've had other male dwarf hamsters like that. Dexter was like that. I put him in a size large Vista. I gave him like 10 plus inches of digging room, and he would just sleep on top of the bedding like a silly little hamster, or in his sandbath. So every hamster is different. Every hamster needs and wants different things. And this is why it's hard for me to say that there is one cage that is the best or one universal setup that is going to work for every hamster. That's just not realistic. I think you kind of have to get to know your hamster and figure out what they like and adjust to their needs. But again, because the square inches, it's a decent size. This comes with a good wheel, water bottle. I think most dwarf hamsters would be very happy in it. For Chet, I've seen him really open up since I moved him into the space. When he was in the 100 quart bin, when I got him initially home, he was very nippy. He would chase my hand in his enclosure. Since I've moved him into this Omlet enclosure, he's actually relaxed a lot. He doesn't bar climb or bar bite. The only time he kind of clings onto the bars is if I'm in the room and he's like wants me to feed him a treat through the bars, or he just wants attention. And I know that he doesn't bar climb or anything because I also have a wise cam, so I watch him. I know what he does. I'm watching you, Chet. Yeah, so I think it's been a great enclosure for him. And the other nice thing is, because he started off with me being pretty aggressive, not like the worst, but definitely not like friendly. Having the bars and being able to feed him, I started out by feeding him pumpkin seeds through the bars of the cage. That was like a great way for us to interact safely. I don't think he could fear that I was gonna hurt him. I wasn't in his space. I was giving him food. He was getting to know my scent. We got to interact that way. Whereas if you're in a more, I don't know, I don't want to say traditional, but any of the other hamster enclosures that are solid all the way up, like the Night Angel, Bigger World, or Vista, if you're interacting with your hamster in their cage, it's going to be you in their space, and not every hamster is going to be okay with that. So I think that is a great thing about a cage. The other thing that I love about a cage is airflow. If you have a hamster in like an aquarium style enclosure, I think like an actual tank has a screen topper, and that has pretty good airflow. But like the Vista, I have 2 Proly enclosures now. I actually leave I often leave them open for better airflow. I find when I close them, I feel like the air gets kind of icky in there. All the sort of, even if you keep their cage clean, I feel like the pee smell builds up fast. Just because the only airflow is really through those top holes. And so I prefer to keep it open, but of course that's a little less safe for the hamster. So this is a really great option. Another advantage of a cage is just like total airflow. You never have to worry about that for your hamster. So another reason that cages might have some advantages when we're talking about hamster enclosures. You can see now I am taking photos of Chet with my Canon, a Canon Canon, oh man, I have to look it up. Okay, I looked it up. It's a Canon 5D Mark III. I got it used from a website called KEH and a 50mm lens. It's been really fun to play with this, taking hamster photos. I feel like it's really upped my hamster photo game. I still have a lot to learn about photography and improving there, but yeah, it's been really awesome. So if you haven't invested in a great camera, I'll link down below to what I have. Buying it secondhand is a great way to save a little money and get a little practice at the same time. If I haven't said it already, this footage is sped up, so if it looks like Chet is a little frantic, he was just on triple speed. Okay, now here I am coming back to the legs and using that 3-in-1 household oil. You can see the can is a little vintage looking. It came from my dad. Probably has lived with him for many years. So I'm not sure what it looks like now, or even, yeah, I'll have to look on the internet if something similar to this is available. But again, like I said, if you have small kids or a pet, I would be careful with this because it does say on the can that it's toxic. So definitely keep it out of the way if you need to go like in the garage or somewhere where you won't risk somebody interacting with it who you shouldn't. There weren't any fumes or anything of that, but just, you don't want somebody eating it, putting their mouth on it. That would be not so fun. So the oil did help a lot. It was still challenging to get the screws in, and that's why I'm holding the Allen wrench with paper towel, because my My hands started to hurt from the Allen wrench like digging into me, but at least I got all the screws in and I did finally assemble the legs. Done. So that was a really great accomplishment. All right, voila, I finished the legs. It's actually really beautiful. The color white, it's like this eggshell white. And I think having the legs really made the whole enclosure just look really nice. So if you're thinking this enclosure might live in a bedroom or out in your living space, it looks nice to me. I guess it depends on if you like white or if you, I don't know what your color palette is, but it feels like a very lovely color. It feels very nice. Like if you touch it, it has like that matte kind of feel to it. So I am definitely a fan. So now I'm putting together that storage kind of like hammock that goes underneath the legs, about halfway down. Again, after putting this together, I think that, and there's only one way to know this, you just got to try it, but I did not feel that it was necessary. Like I just think you could just have like a Tupperware bin underneath with whatever, or a storage cube. I don't know if a storage cube would fit. The legs are not super tall, but maybe some sort of like small shelving unit, or yeah, just like a nice looking basket or something where you could keep your hamster stuff in. This just kind of felt like it took up a lot of the space, but because it's like a soft sort of felt hanging shelf, I guess I wouldn't want to put like something really heavy in it, and I don't know, but I mean, it could work just fine. It's sort of up to your preference, but that would be kind of my recommendation. I would go definitely get the legs. You probably don't need the storage. Okay, so this part was kind of tricky. You have to put these metal bars in and then attach them at the corners to these corner things. But it's harder than it seems because the bars slide around and they're now inside these sleeves. So they're like really hard to get them to hold still. And you'll see at some point I do actually break one of the little corner pieces. I'm sure if I had reached out to Omlet, I could have gotten a new one, but I just managed to make it work. It broke, but I could just kind of like slide it back together and it still functioned fine, so I let it go. But yeah, it was weirdly, I got better at it. The first one I broke, and then the other ones I figured out what to do. Okay, this is me realizing I broke it. I just had to keep that in there. I'm sure we've all had those moments when assembling something that we did something wrong, and it's just like so frustrating, especially at this point because I was literally almost done with this enclosure and I'd been working on it for like a week, and I was so excited to just be done and have it finished so I could like wrap up videoing this and, you know, work on the editing and all that stuff, and just have Chet settled. But yeah, there's always a moment like that, but it's fine. So I'll show you exactly what happened. It just kind of snaps in there like that. There's these little kind of pieces of the legs that stick out, and you can see right there, that's where it broke, but it's actually fine. So I just didn't mess with it. Okay, so here is some footage from Chet's first night in the enclosure. You can see he's a little nervous going up and down that ramp, but he's doing just fine. And then he goes and hangs out in his multi-chamber hide. Here he is. I repositioned the camera so I could see him a little better. And he is definitely a hamster who loves his little hidey spots. He hangs out in that strawberry hide a lot. And then later I added a little like Bukastat corner sandbath, but I put dirt in it for him to forage in. So that's another thing that I later added to that platform. And here he is using the wheel. I know you can't hear sound of this video, but it is super smooth. You can tell that. And he moves on it really nicely. It's really quiet. If you were going to have this enclosure in your room, that would be fine. It wouldn't wake you up. Or honestly, like if I'm in that room, sometimes I don't even realize he's awake because it's so quiet. I feel like I need to give him a little bell to ring or something. All right, and here it is, the finished product. Yay, I did it. And underneath is one of the playpens. I have the Omlet playpen. Again, full disclosure, they did gift me the size large playpen, but I also purchased the size small one because I like the large so much, but then I felt like it was a little too big. So, or at least it's just too big for the space I have now. So I went for the small, and then I decided to just keep the large underneath there. Personally, I think you should just keep a playpen set up all the time. So I don't know why you would need to store a playpen underneath, but if you want to, you can. I think if you're going to use a playpen, it's best to just have it ready to go. Then you can interact with your hamster when the moment arises. Hamsters are, you know, it's like they've got a small window. So it's like they're awake, they want attention, and then they don't. So having that playpen already set up and good to go is really helpful if you're trying to bond with your hamster and improve that relationship. Here I am giving Chet some black fly larvae. It's from the brand Grubmasters, and they actually gifted me that as well. It's this enormous bag of mealworms or of black fly larva worms. Chet loves them. Yeah, so they're a great treat. And here I am using my baby wipe to wipe down the wheel. As I said, I just decided to do this. Unlike all the other wheels I use, I usually take them out and wash them. In this case, it's just easier to wipe it rather than try to unscrew it and deal with that. You know, it's just sort of disruptive to Chet also to just have my arm in his enclosure for an extended amount of time. I will say, I do really like this forward opening. It's very sweet to kind of interact with Chet on his level that way. Hamsters are prey animals, so coming at them from above is not super comfortable for them. Having like a face-on entrance point is really nice. I wish there was both entrance points, but I guess the idea is that you could take the whole cage off. That is if you didn't have platforms and stuff attached. You know, now that I say that, I could disassemble I could just take the ramps off of the, like being attached to the platform, but then I there's so much stuff on the platform. I wouldn't want that to like spill. So, I don't know. Anyway, and here I am. I'm trying to get him to come out, and he's flirting. He's flirting with the idea. But I love like his little face. He's so cute. All right, I think this time I may have convinced him. And you can see now I did add a piece of cork round to his enclosure too. So I did add a few more elements from my own collection just to make the cage a little more cluttered. Look at how cute he is, a little snowball. Yeah, so I think the cage is really functioning well now that I've added a few more items to it, and Chet is really opening up. He now lets me give him like full body massages. I haven't really held him yet, but I think we're gonna get there soon. Like he seems, sometimes he swats at me a little bit, but he mostly, if I give him my hand, he just sniffs it. So we're making progress, and I'm really excited about it. And I think that says something really good about this enclosure. Because I don't think that if the enclosure was not a good enclosure, he wouldn't be relaxed and happy with me. So I think those things are related and an important thing to point out. I also think playpen time is really important to helping to bond with your hamster. It's a way to interact with them without being on their territory, as I think I've mentioned before. I love, this is the size small Omlet playpen. I love that it is solid walled and has a really sturdy base. I still put a blanket down just to, so it makes cleanup easier. If I don't put a blanket down, there's like crusted pee on the floor of the playpen, and it takes me forever to clean it. A blanket allows me to just kind of fold it up. I shake out all the seeds and stuff outside, and then I could just wash the blanket, easy peasy. And my hamsters seem to like snuggling in the corners and going to sleep, so everybody wins. But yeah, it's a really great playpen, and I think playpen time is like uber important if you want to get to know your hamster. Some hamsters don't like it. I get it. I have hamsters who don't love playpen time, and there are hamsters like that. But for the most part, I feel like if you're trying to get to know your hamster and you want to make that progress, in like incorporating playpen time is really important. You can start off with like 1 minute, they might be stressed, but it's just 1 minute, and then bring them back home, and then slowly keep doing it. Having a space that's always set up so the smells are familiar, the arrangement's familiar, that'll be really important to making your hamster feel comfortable in the playpen. So that would be my recommendation. So that is all I have to say about the hamster collection from Omlet. So you saw me put together the full cage setup, including the legs and the storage. Again, I got the advanced kit with the ramps and the platforms. It came with 2 ramps and 2 platforms. I did not purchase a water bowl, but I probably would. I would recommend that you get the sandbath. And I would also recommend that you get a playpen. I mean, I just think get a playpen. Like, why not? If you get the size large one, it's really big, so you can be in there with your hamster too. So that would be something to consider if you are debating between sizes. The size large is about double the size of the small, if you can imagine that. But yeah, if you have purchased any Omlet products, or you're interested in it, or you have any additional questions, please leave me a comment below. I'd really love to foster a conversation about this. I think it's so cool what Omlet is doing by just totally revamping their product line and investing in high quality hamster products that are like made to last, that are all about the animals' well-being, I think that's really unique and special. And so I really want to like commend them for that. A lot of brands could do that and they don't. I mean, a lot of brands maybe offer products that are good hamster products, but then they still offer the kind of less good hamster products too, like the little wheels and the small cages. So I think good on them for doing that. It's not easy to do. And I really want to see them be successful in this. And I hope other brands see that and can take note of it. So again, if you have any questions or thoughts or comments or feedback, please let me know. Leave a comment down below, or you can write me an email. I'm rachelgothamsters@gmail.com, or you can find me over on Instagram at rachelgothamsters. It used to be Stephen and Sophia, but I changed it to Rachel Got Hamsters just to make it simple. So thank you so much for sticking in there and watching this video and hanging out with me today. And I hope to see you in my next video. Thank you.